What's going on? I'm going to just try to make a tutorial on how to make your own pyrotechnic tubes using water activated wrapping packing tape, sticky on one side. It's like kind of like craft paper. So tubes are pretty expensive. They're like $1 a piece if you were to buy them from like fireworks supplies. But a roll like this is like 450 feet. And if you're using like a little over 3 foot per tube, that comes out to like 50 tubes for like $10. I can get one of these rolls of tape for like 10, maybe $12 at the most. So that's way cheaper than paying for tubes. Tubes are great. I mean, they're rolled, they're nice and sturdy, they're perfect. But, they're slightly expensive, and I'm going to try to show you guys how to roll your own firework tubes. I showed you guys before and all that, but I sort of just talked real fast and didn't go into detail. Well, this time here, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail and try to explain things completely. Because if you go try this at home and you have zero experience, unless you know a couple of little tricks or anything, you probably won't have much success. So this is why I'm going into detail now. This is why I'm going to go into detail and show you how to roll your own pyrotechnic tubes. These are all drivers that I made much earlier, but that'll be another video. These are all tubes that I just rolled. The size tubes that I'm going to show you guys how to roll today are going to be 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch. These are the tubes I'm going to show you guys how to roll using craft paper gum tape. Okay, so let's get it going. Let's get the show on the road. So, trying to put the camera where you need to see it. Okay, so this is the gum tape. Man, it's humid out. It's so humid the tape's sticking a little. All right, for starters, for one tube, you need around 3 foot. You need around 3 foot. It doesn't have to be exactly 3 foot, but you don't want less than 3 foot. I go a couple inches over just to know I have at least 3 foot. So once you get the gum tape, you want to wrap it. Some people just do it like this. They just wrap it right from the get-go without the tool. But I think by using the tool, this is the size diameter I'm looking for. I think by using the tool, it gets you very close to where you want to be. So what I do is, I don't know if you can see this, but I roll it around the tube, but you got to make sure it doesn't fold or anything. And then as I roll it up, I keep squaring off the ends like a deck of cards. You know how you square off cards when you shuffle the cards? Well, that's what you want to do with the tube. So you roll it up, you keep squaring it off, make sure it's even on each end. And it really takes a feel for it. And the first few times you do it, it may not turn out perfect, but if you do it and keep trying, then you will get it. One of the important things I do want to say is you want to stay consistent. The more consistent, even if it's like a little bit off and it's not perfect, as long as you could be not perfect consistently. I don't know if that makes sense. But you want to be consistent because this way you get used to what you have to work with. And when I say consistent, I also mean you want all your tubes to be around the same diameter. And if you use like say 5 feet of tape on one roll and 4 feet of tape on the other and 3 feet on the other, the tubes won't be the same size. Now for rockets, that's okay. But if you're going to build a device that has several drivers on it, well, that's why you want the tubes to be consistent. So what I do is I wrap it around the tool that I'm going to use, and then I'll try to poke this out. Let me look for a poker. You could use anything for a poker, but I'm going to use this all. Just sort of poke it out. Now here's the part that I want to, God, it's so humid out, I can't even demonstrate. Here's the part that I want to explain. If you pull it like that, it gets tighter wound. So it's going to be a combination of undoing it and redoing it, and you really just got to get the right diameter. And that's the whole important thing about this is you want a tight fit onto your tool. You definitely want a tight fit. So what I do is I roll it like halfway up. I don't know if you can see that. It's about halfway up. And then I pull it tight. And then I square off the ends. I flatten the ends like you would like a deck of cards, as I said. The same way you flatten, square off cards. Well, that's what you do with your tube. You don't want it like sticking out on this end or sticking out on this end. You want both sides of your tube to be flat as possible. And since it's so humid, I'm having difficulty. One thing I do need to mention, 1 drop of water will ruin this. If I get 1 drop of water on this and I roll it up, it'll stick. The glue will activate and it won't work out for you. I mean, 1 drop of water is enough to mess up the whole process. So I'm testing the tube diameter out right now, and that's about perfect. That's a nice, tight, snug fit, and that's exactly what I want. A nice tug, nice, snug, tight fit. So I square off the ends. I keep doing this. That's what I mean by square off the ends. I pinch both ends. Some people go like this. You can do that. You can go like that to make sure the ends are nice and square. And then when you get up close to the very end, you can either use a wet rag. I'm just going to lick it. You use a wet rag or you can lick it. I'm just going to lick it. Just like a stamp or an envelope. So there's 1 tube, but I'm going to do several for you guys so you get the idea. You see how that paper's folded over? That's not good. I want it to be more like that rather than this. I don't know if you can see that, but the paper's folded over a little. So I got to fix that. And I either use something smaller in diameter or a stick or anything that'll fit down the tube, and I try to get them little folds out. That's a little better. And then once you're satisfied with your tube and it's a relatively snug fit, again, you want that snug fit. You don't want it too loose. You don't want that sliding in and out, but then you don't want to have to push it in real hard neither. So once you're satisfied, and you shouldn't be able to see light. Say I held this up to a light. Notice how I can't see. If you could see light coming through there, it's too wide. It's got to be a nice, snug fit. That's the most important thing I could stress. So once you're satisfied with that, you make sure the ends are squared off like you would square off a deck of cards. And then you dip it in water for like 30 seconds and you let it sit and dry. Okay, so now I'll do another one. We'll do another one for you. Let's do a couple just so you get the idea. You get around 3 foot of tape. Never less than 3 foot. It's okay to have a little bit more, but never less, because you want the tube wall thickness to be at least just under a 1/4 inch, like 3/30 seconds, or just under a 1/4 inch. And then you get the tool, the diameter of the tool you're going to use, and we'll do it again. You just wrap it around that tool as tight as you can get it. Roll it up and square it off the whole time you're rolling it up. Go a couple rolls, square it off. Couple rolls, square it off. Keep doing that. Okay? And here's something else I like to do. I like to pull it tight like that. Now I know that's really tight on there. I sort of held and then pulled. So now this is really nice and tight. So I know it's the size, that 1/4 inch size I'm shooting for. I know that. Then you get your pointy thing, anything pointy like a pen, or I'm using an awl here, and you poke your tool out. See, pulls out. Roll it all the way up. Square off the ends. Keep it nice and tight. I always hold my fingers like that and pull it tight. Roll it up, square off the ends. Few turns, 5 or 6 turns. Always keep your ends square. That's very important too. You want your ends square. And when you get to the top, you either use a wiper towel or just lick it. Like that. And there's another tube. Square off the ends. And then I'm going to soak this in water for like a minute or two and let it dry for like an hour. And that would be another perfect tube. See? It's not too loose. It's nice and snug. It's perfect. So that's really it in a nutshell. There are other tricks you can do, like after you soak it in the water, I like to get like, I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to soak this in water real quick. I have water in this bucket right here, somewhere around here, right here. I'm going to dip it in water. Dip the tube in water. Camera back up so you can see. And then just to make sure that the inside is flush against the wall, I'll show you what I mean. I could get like a pencil or something like that, and I just roll it real quick. And that makes sure that the inside, everything's, how can I say this? All the glue is, all the glue's sticking. You have it pressed real hard against all the sides. And that's why sometimes I use like a pencil to make sure that the inside, I'll show you again. You just roll it like this. And that reinsures that the inside is stuck well. That's a good way to say it. You let it dry. Depending on how hot it is during the day, you just let it dry. And then here's a dry one that I did earlier today. A few of them. These are more or less perfect, these guys. Look how tight that is. I mean, that's perfect. Both sides. This is 4 inch. This is 3 inch. This is what a 4 inch tube looks like when it's rolled. This is what a 3 inch tube. The reason why I use the 4-inch is for the larger tool. I'll show you what I mean. I use the 4-inch tape, make tubes like that, for a 1/2-inch tooling. This is 1/2 inch. And if you notice, fits in there really snug. Perfectly. So when I go to ram these tubes, it's a nice snug fit. Perfect diameter. There's another one. Perfect. And again, here's the 1/4 inch. This tube was pre-rolled. Fits in there perfectly. One thing I like to mention though is when it's raining out like it is now, this is much more difficult. It's better when the air is dry and there's not that much humidity, or if you do it inside in the air conditioning, then you'll find that rolling your tubes would be a lot easier. So that's it in a nutshell. Let's pound out a rocket, or pound it. Let's start packing the tubes with some gunpowder, and I'll show you guys how I pack the tubes. So one of the first things I do, here's one already pre-rolled. I put a piece of tape on one end. And this is basically kitty litter. They call it clay, but it's really just kitty litter. And the first thing you got to do is create a clay nozzle. I'll show you what I mean. That's too much, but I'll show you about the right amount for this size tube. For this size tube, about that much clay is perfect. So you put the piece of tape on the one end. You pour the clay down the tube. And you create your clay nozzle. So when I just ran that clay, it formed a solid chunk right there. I'll take the tape off so you can see it. There's a solid chunk, and that's what we want. We want like a clay plug. Then once you get your clay plug, you can start adding your fuel to make whatever you want to make, either a rocket or anything. But that's when you start adding the fuel, and that's what we'll start doing now. We'll start adding fuel now. Nice solid clay plug. And we'll add fuel in increments. That's what we'll do. This fuel here is good for rockets. It's pretty fast. So we'll make a rocket. An increment size is about that much for that size tube. And that's a little big. More like that. That's a good increment. So we add the fuel in. Usually around 7 to 10 increments per device. Around 10 medium wax is good enough to consolidate the fuel. It's pouring rain now, but when I'm done this rocket, I'll light it off even if it's raining. I'll at least show you how well these rockets fly. And a little bit more fuel. That's a little big also, so just take a little out. That's about a perfect increment. That's something you're just going to have to get the feel for. Anywhere between 7 and 10 increments per driver is what you're shooting for. If you get 12, you get a little over, that's okay, but you really don't want under. So that's 2 increments. If it wasn't so humid, my tool would slide in a little easier, but snug is good. Snug is fine. There's nothing wrong with a little snug. It's so humid, my fuel's clumping up in little balls. Humidity and fireworks are not friends. I could actually pick these balls up. That's how. Boy, I've never seen this happen before. This is really humid. That's the 3rd increment. Again, between 7 and 10 increments. And I'll show you the next step. This would be the 4th increment. Woo, it's pouring and raining. Wow. At least it's cooling off. Any questions? Hey, Joseph. Yo, yo, yo. Hi, buddy. Hello. What's going on, man? Just doing the old firework thing as usual, making another rocket. I lost count. I think this is the 5th or 6th increment. I think it's the 6th increment. So 1 or 2 more increments and this rocket will be done, except, I have to drill the nozzle. I'll show you what I mean. One or 2 more increments and I'll put a bulkhead on there. It's raining so hard I can't light this off, unfortunately. Maybe, try to do something nice for you guys and the weather stops us. One more increment and I'll put a bulkhead. Boy, the rain's coming in. I got to cover this stuff up. Now, I'm going to put my paper away, my glue. Okay. Wanted to get my gum tape out of that moisture. I don't want to get it moistened before I have to. All right, now we'll put the bulkhead in. And that's just a little more kitty litter. That's too much, but you'll see what happens. I just fill it up like that. And I'll ram that into a solid chunk. Terrific. Drop the old phone. Sorry, guys. Nobody's perfect. Okay, so there's the first clay chunk we rammed. There's the bulkhead I just rammed. And now I'm going to drill out the nozzle. That bit's too big. That's something I wanted to mention also. The size of the nozzle determines how much thrust you're going to get. The smaller the nozzle, the smaller the opening, the more powerful the thrust. The larger the nozzle, the least powerful. And that's, if the hole's smaller, then obviously a lot more hot gases rush out much quicker. The hole's larger, the gases rush out slower. So I'm going to put like, I'll show you. That's a 1/4 inch bit. No, an 1/8 inch, I meant to say. 1/8 inch bit. And that's perfect for these size rockets. I'm trying to make it so you could actually see how the drill works. You want to get this handle out of your way. That's a little better. I think you could see the bit a little better, can you? Yeah, you can see it. Now you can't. And that's it. There's my nozzle. How hard it's raining. I want to light this rocket, but it's pouring rain. What a bummer. Nothing ever turns out right, you know? I want to show you guys light off a rocket, and I can't even do it. And I'll show you what I do next. I put a stick on here, and then I'll put a fuse on. This is a stick. These are just weeds that grow in the lake, the cattail weed, them fuzzy looking things that look like a cattail. The reason why I use them is because they're real light and they're straight. So then I'll just put some tape on there. Some tape. Regular old masking tape. As long as it's sticky, that's all that matters. Obviously, you want your nozzle facing down. Nozzle facing down. Thrust is going to shoot that way down. And I'll just tape this on. Tape it in a couple spots. That's really it. Put a fuse in there and that rod's ready to go. Let's put a fuse in there. Let me see what's happening. There you go. Put a little piece of fuse. So hurry, man. I can't help it. There's nothing I can do about it. If something can go wrong, it will. Some people just don't care. You try to get something done and they don't even pay attention to what you say. So what's going on here is I'm going to stick the fuse in there. Oh well. Can't help it, man. Can't help it. So I'm going to put a piece of tape there and we'll if the rain slows up a little bit, we'll light her off. Little piece of tape there. And I will. Let me put the front camera on. It's a shame you guys I can't even get one live stream off without being interrupted over nonsense. So, it is pouring rain. I'm just going to run out real quick and light this off, man, as quick as I can. It might get wet. It's probably going to get wet. Pouring rain. I hope I can get this lit. There we go. Oh well, it flew over the side of the house. At least you got to see it. So, I'm going to do this again when it's not pouring rain. I'm sorry, you guys. I can't predict the weather. So, we'll get it together one of these times. I'll talk to you real soon, man.